Happy Monday. I've got a guest coming on with me, so I'm going to wait just a second for her to hop in and join us here. All right, yay, our friend is here to join. One moment. All right. Hannah, if you can just accept it. Hi, yay.
Hey, Jenny, thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, I'm so excited it worked. And
Yes, me too.
technology can be crazy. I'm very new to the interviewing, and so I appreciate anybody's grace, you and anybody watching, with all of the situation. This will be the third one, so I still feel really new to interviewing, but I love it so much to get to learn what other people know. And so I'm excited to have you with us. And let me introduce you and what we're doing. First, for the past week, I've been getting with experts in the field of nutrition and body image and mindset to talk about resolutions for the year, as many of us are making them, and whether we actually need to make them or not, and what they should be, and what the real goal should be, whether it should be our health, our image, and where all of that stands. So Hannah immediately came to mind, especially in thinking about moms, because she is kind of the pre-mom to be guru, where she helps people from their pregnancy and pre-pregnancy nutrition to forming birth plans. What are some other things you do, Hannah?
Yeah, so I just released my postpartum planning worksheets because I have a big passion for helping moms after baby is born. Moms so often kind of get pushed to the wayside when baby comes, and just trying to make that proper focus, giving mom that time to rest. Just really trying to do that as well with mothers before pregnancy, before delivery, after baby is born. Some of my postpartum clients are even a couple years out, and we're still, working on some of that self-care, eating well, getting over some of the challenges that may have been part of the pregnancy and delivery. So kind of everything in a giant, nice little package.
That's great. And I will say, I've been following Hannah for a while. She's a leader in the online space in a private way as well, amongst some other entrepreneurs, which I appreciate. But in following all of Hannah's posts, I've learned a lot, and things I would do differently if I were having a pregnancy again. So I really would recommend anyone to learn from you and hear what you have to say. And that was another reason to bring you on. So excited about that. Yeah, absolutely. What types of foods and lifestyle recommendations do you make for someone who wants to conceive? What would you say might be a goal of theirs?
So I split down the preconception period into three really big things, and we could go into a lot. There's so much more that we could dive into, but the three I focus on are what you're eating, just because, everything you put in your mouth for several months before getting pregnant impacts the quality of egg that you're going to produce as the foundation of your baby's life. So we talk about food, working on crowding out food choices that just might not be helping you get to pregnancy. And then we also talk about basic cycle literacy. What I've learned from working with moms is that generally there's just these misconceptions about ovulation, about cycles, just basic fertility awareness. And so we just dive into what that looks like, identifying the fertile window, putting that power back in your hands, so that kind of when you can get pregnant, and also how to identify if maybe something isn't quite right. And then the third big piece that I focus on is environmental toxins. I think that is also a huge piece to the puzzle, and is a reason that a lot of women struggle to get pregnant. There's a lot of great info that is surfacing about it. We're all becoming more aware, but even with basic knowledge, it can be really intimidating to take that first step to implement something. So my goal through all of this is just to break it down into baby steps, so you don't feel like you have to do all the things, but really just, this week we'll focus on one or two things that really is gonna help you. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's good. So you break it into smaller steps, which I think is important because it can be overwhelming. I think it's cool that now there's so much more on your personal radar and culturally our radar that wasn't on my radar like when I had my first kid 11 years ago about like the toxins and things. And so I think it's good to have a resource like you to turn to ask about those types of things. So that would be amazing. What about someone who's currently pregnant? Like, what types of lifestyle recommendations, what types of food are you encouraging them to have?
Yeah, so when I work with a pregnant client, I always point her towards the Brewer's Pregnancy Diet. And now,
can you spell that?
Brewers, BREWER''S.
Okay, great.
Now, a quick disclaimer, I always have to throw this out. You know, as a health coach, it's not within my scope of practice to actually sit down and like nitty-gritty meal plan. That's really within the scope of a nutritionist or dietitian. So I want to throw that out there just to make sure that anyone listening, sometimes people get a little concerned about where those lines are. So it helps just to make it clear. But I do point my clients towards the Brewer's Pregnancy Diet because it's just a great framework for what to eat during pregnancy. It was developed by an obstetrician who discovered that a variety of complications that he found with mothers could be reversed nutritionally. So we're talking preeclampsia, eclampsia, gestational diabetes, and those are the three that we always talk about because that's what we're thinking of, but it can also bridge into other things, high blood pressure. If a mom might have low blood pressure, this diet can counteract it. I don't necessarily want to say it's a one size fits all because I know that, you know, there are always those caveats where, you know, you can't eat certain foods, whether it's an allergy or a condition where you get a flare. But in general, this just provides a fantastic start to figuring out what to eat.
Great.
And what's crazy too is if you do start to develop one of those conditions I mentioned, there are protocols that Dr. Brewer built in that you can actually completely reverse them. So just kind of crazy for anyone who might be struggling with something like that. But we also talk a lot about movement, you know, movement during pregnancy, so important, especially leading up to delivery. And aside from delivery, you know, moving during pregnancy keeps that weight gain down. And I know personally, it's always been a struggle during pregnancy. I know other moms struggle with it, but just, you know you're going to gain weight. But we live in a culture that's like, oh no, don't gain weight. So being intentional about that movement can make it feel a little less of, you know, a burden to be carrying around all this extra weight. You know, talking about body positivity, can't really do a lot when you got a baby growing inside you, but you can minimize the extra.
Sure. And I think there's probably a lot to be said for the blood flow and the endorphins that would come along with it, where there's a roller coaster of emotions with pregnancy, before, during, after, the whole thing. And I rely on movement a lot to help me with emotions. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I will say one area I think would have been helpful for me when I was pregnant. I think I ate pretty well before getting pregnant, but the nausea was so rough that I tended to eat a lot of meat and potatoes only. I really didn't have the amount of vegetables I probably should have had. I tried to eat a lot of spinach salad because my iron was low. But I think it would probably be helpful to have someone like you who could like coach someone through the nausea, how to deal with that naturally and still get your nutrients in despite the nausea. It can be a real bug with that. So yeah, that could be good. What about post-pregnancy nutrition? Now this is something I, aside from breastfeeding, didn't consider, like really, like for me, myself, like as a self-care measure. Nope, didn't think about it. So what about that as a lifestyle and food?
Well, I think real fast what you just said about just not even considering it. I just think that, you know, we get to the end of pregnancy. Oh, yay, baby's out. The last 9 months, I haven't eaten all of these things. Therefore, it's time to splurge. And to some degree, you know, it's okay to enjoy little bits of foods as long as, you know, it's not going to cause a flare up or you're allergic to it. But really, that's the most important time for you as a mother, to be eating well. And I love the work of Dr. Oscar Saralak. He is a physician in Australia who works with moms postpartum. And he's found that in his practice, really it's fueled a book. So if this is exciting, if you're listening, send me a message. I can send you the link to the book. But he found that postpartum depression, which we see on the rise, is a nutritional issue for the majority of moms. Because moms go through pregnancy, a lot of moms don't eat well beforehand, so they're depleted going into pregnancy. And even moms who do eat well get to some degree of depletion. So if you're not intentional postpartum to be taking supplements, to be eating really nutrient-dense diets, to be avoiding all those delicious, sweets and carby stuff, which kind of, it's always like, I'm just going to eat those things because they're delicious, but making those the exception, the treat, very rare treat, it helps moms so much. And his moms in his practice who follow just the framework, he's got a great framework in his book helping moms identify what specifically they're deficient in. They either don't experience postpartum depression at all, or the ones who are experiencing postpartum depression see it go into remission. And that's without having to take some sort of antidepressant, or if they're on it, it gets tapered off because they're able to just be well.
I love that so much. When medicine isn't necessary, using food as medicine or other natural sources, I would much prefer over the medicine over and over again, just because of all the other things that will happen resulting from medicine, especially if it's avoidable. I mean, yeah, if someone needs it, sure. Okay. But like you say, I love to hear that there's a diet that really can address that depression. That's amazing. I love that. Very helpful.
It's incredible. And it really makes sense too when you kind of break back the layers. But I can talk about that a long time because I think it's so exciting and so liberating for moms.
Absolutely. And I like that you include that it might be allowable to have some treats, let that be the exception, but sure, treat yourself. I mean, it's not, I think sometimes the super restriction of it all creates some disordered eating. Even if it starts during pregnancy, it can continue later. Yeah.
And it's not healthy. It feeds into, I think disordered eating just feeds into struggles with body image. I ate this, therefore I have to punish myself. But
and we're so susceptible to it right after baby, I think. I at least feel like I was.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's like the biggest hormone drop of your life is right after baby is born. That's why the baby blues, they're separate from postpartum depression, but every mom to some degree experiences them because there's no other situation where our bodies take such a drastic and quick fall of hormones.
Sure. Thank goodness. I don't want to do it again. Not that part of it. All right. So with the changes to our body, what might we expect to be temporary and what might we expect to be permanent, and what kind of mindset can we deal with that?
Yeah. So it really depends on, how many babies you've had, how stretched out your skin is, because some of the skin stretching and the muscle stretching that moms will experience can be permanent. And it really depends on how much weight you gained during pregnancy, how many babies you had in your belly. If you've got twins, then you're going to experience a lot more permanent stretch. You might be able to, get it to recede a little bit, but you're still going to experience that. Stretch marks. Some women have found remedies that really help to remove them, but I think for a lot of women, just the remedies don't seem to really help. I think stretch marks are a great reminder that you had a baby in your belly. Sometimes I think we see them as blemishes, but they definitely served an important purpose. But the weight gain is the thing that moms always talk about. I can't lose this last 5 pounds. And it really, I believe in working with clients, reading Dr. Sarah Lack's book, is it goes back. Oh yes, stretch marks. I have them on my belly too. But it goes back to moms just being in a nutritionally depleted state, moms being in a sleep depleted state. The weight will come off. And I just want to encourage any mom who's listening, the weight will come off. Now, how much weight you have to lose depends on how much weight you gain in pregnancy, which okay, everybody knows that. But I find with moms who go into pregnancy with a little bit of weight and then gain weight, it's like the previous weight seems to come off faster than those extra baby pounds, if that makes sense. So nourishing your body, being intentional to don't push yourself. If you don't feel like you're at a place where you should be doing high intensity interval training or CrossFit, then don't do it. because I think so often that's what we tell ourselves is, okay, I need to lose these pounds, therefore I need to be doing this really hard hitting cardio. I need to be cutting back on calories. I need to, making all these drastic changes, but that doesn't necessarily have to be your unique story. And I think there can be a lot of emotional healing and then kind of snowballing into that physical weight loss that you're wanting to see. Just when we start to extend grace to ourselves, acknowledging where we're at, acknowledging what, went on in our bodies, because it is incredible what goes on during pregnancy, and just, navigating that slowly, because there's no reason to have to lose it quickly, even though it seems like, that's all our goal. And if I'm honest, I feel like, you get done with pregnancy and you think, okay, well, on television, on this sitcom that I watched, she walked out of the hospital and she looked,
yes.
So we think that that's going to be our story, but it's okay if it's not. When I work with clients, I really encourage moms to do belly binding, because it does accelerate the organ healing, the muscle healing, and then can help with the water weight losing. So for moms who are still within that 3-month period, get yourself a belly wrap. And if you're past that, you can know next time, buy a belly wrap. It's simple.
Okay.
So there's small things depending on at what point in the journey you're at, things that you can do to give yourself grace to, work through some of these changes, and feel okay about it.
That's good. I appreciate you saying it, because if I heard it elsewhere, I would feel like that's really gimmicky and I wouldn't buy into it. But the fact that you're telling me, and I know you're really in tune with health in the stage of post-pregnancy, then I would actually listen. So I think that's really helpful. I get really frustrated with seeing celebrities who aren't forthcoming about the cosmetic surgeries they're having to look a certain way. And for the ones who actually admit it, there is one New Jersey housewife who recently was like, yeah, I had the tummy tuck. I had liposuction. Yeah, I did. And I'm so glad she actually just came out and said it, because I think a lot of us are feeling pressure that is so unrealistic. These people have had cosmetic procedures. And if you feel that you really, truly need that, I would hope that really you love yourself through it to just do what's natural. However, if that's what you really need to get yourself in a certain place and you're going to be dedicated to being healthy thereafter, okay. But she finally said it. And I was so pleased, because there are several housewives, several celebrities that I follow in the talk show world, I feel like haven't been forthcoming about it. Like, you dropped like 4 sizes in a matter of a couple of weeks, and you're telling me that it was exercise and eating and drinking water. I'm sorry. I don't really think that happened like that. I just want people to be forthcoming about it. So moms, I just hope that you'll be realistic about it. There are a few people who have that kind of quick snapback, but they are very few and far between. And that's genes we can't control.
Well, there's so much that goes into how fast you lose the baby weight. Like I said, it's how much you gain during pregnancy. How you eat plays such a huge role. How active you were before having your baby. Your health. I mean, there are just so many factors. It's hard to just label, everyone as, oh, it'll just melt off, because some people's metabolism isn't wired that way. Some people did struggle before getting pregnant, or maybe put on some extra pounds, and that's not necessarily bad. I mean, things to work on, but it puts us all at a different place in the journey. And I think sometimes we get that confused. We're all on a journey. We had to start somewhere, but we want to get to the point where that person is without having to go through the struggle and the pain and the challenge and the emotional, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
now, this was not something I planned to ask you, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Do you see that sometimes motherhood puts people on a healthier eating path that they didn't have before? Like, it creates a really good, healthy new awareness?
Yeah, I honestly, I've seen it both ways. Moms who, they get pregnant, they know that they're nourishing their baby, maybe weren't really into eating well before, and then something changes in pregnancy. They fall in love with eating better. They fall in love with exercising. They maybe read a book on going non-toxic, and it sparks something in them. So I've met a lot of moms who, that was it. That's what made that big change. And
That's
then,
amazing.
I think it's important to acknowledge too, because on the other side, and you know, I've met moms who did eat really well before pregnancy, and then they hit the nausea and they didn't know how to handle it, so they did whatever they could to feel better, which, you know, the goal is to feel okay
Mm-hmm.
while you're pregnant, because it's really hard to be sick every day and still have to do stuff. But then that kind of set them down a path where then they struggle to bounce back. So I don't say that to bring shame upon anyone, but just to highlight that, you know, sometimes you think that maybe that your journey is going to be different, and something happens that you can't control. Maybe a loved one passes away, or the morning sickness is much worse than you thought, or you move and it's right smack dab in the middle of these other huge life changes, and then it's like, okay, I just don't know what to do now. So either, you know, there's nothing wrong with being on either journey, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Well, that's
Obviously,
where
we
it's
want
good.
the healthy one, but
Yeah, it's good to have a support person like you, especially in those instances, I feel like. So how can someone connect with you to help them with their pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, post-pregnancy, all of the journeys that you're helping women on? How can they connect with you to do that?
yeah. So I have an Instagram account at Hannah Bowers INHC, which everyone asks. It stands for Integrative Nutrition Health Coach. So you can connect with me there. I've kind of fallen off the bandwagon a little bit just with coming off the holidays. I haven't posted a lot, but I do try to share really useful tidbits. And then also on my Facebook page, which is Blissberry Wellness, regularly share things, including videos. I'm going to hop on today to talk through a topic about postpartum. And then as well as my website, I don't update it very regularly, but I am working to start carefully selecting topics to address on a blog on my website. So I'm working currently on one with talking through prenatal vitamins. Everyone always asks me about prenatal vitamins, so I figured it's about time that I just put that out there for everyone to be able to access. So those are the best places to reach out, connect. I have a fertility Facebook group as well for anyone who's trying to get pregnant, wants a little extra support. So just another fun little space.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this with moms. And I know it's such an important time in life to acknowledge, and especially body changes, health. It's all important and all relevant. So if anyone is in one of these journeys right now and would benefit from Hannah, I would hope that you will reach out to her, see the ways to connect with her on her profile or inbox her, and the way she just mentioned. And I so appreciate you. Thank you, Hannah.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
See you next time.
Bye.